Rottweil, Germany, sometime in the early 1900s. Butchers there had this habit of tying a coin purse around their dog's neck after market day and just letting it walk home alone through town. Nobody touched that dog. Nobody touched that money. That's the origin story people repeat about the Rottweiler, and it's basically why, a few years later, European police departments started putting them on the payroll. 1910, the German Police Dog Association officially recognized the Rottweiler as a police breed. Not the German Shepherd first, the Rottweiler. Read that again if you thought this was always a German Shepherd story. For about a decade, the Rottweiler was the dog wearing the badge, so to speak, across Germany, France, Belgium, even parts of Australia and the US. Big, unbothered, physically intimidating. Exactly what you'd want walking next to you into a dark warehouse. So what happened? Because by 1920, Germany opens a dedicated police dog training school in Grünheide, and the breed they build the entire program around isn't the Rottweiler anymore, it's the German Shepherd. And that decision made over a century ago in one training facility is basically why almost every canine unit you see today, the ones sniffing bags at airports, the ones on the news dragging a suspect out of a cornfield, is running German Shepherds and increasingly Belgian Malinois, not Rottweilers. Here's my petty opinion, and Rottweiler people are going to hate this. The breed's biggest career problem is its own jaw. A Rottweiler's bite force sits well above what a German Shepherd can generate, enough to fracture bone in documented cases. For guarding a butcher's cart in 1905, that's a feature. For a modern department that gets sued the moment a suspect needs reconstructive surgery on his forearm, that's a liability sitting in the canine van. Departments don't want effective. They want controlled. A dog that grips, holds, and releases on command beats a dog that just wins. Weight's the other thing nobody talks about enough. A male Rottweiler is routinely pushing 110 to 130 pounds. A male German Shepherd, even a big working line one, tops out closer to 85 or 90. Doesn't sound like it should matter until you're the handler standing at a 6-foot chain-link fence at 2 a.m., suspect running, and you physically need to hoist your dog over that fence to keep the chase alive. I've heard it put this way by more than one trainer. You're not just choosing a partner. You're choosing something you might have to carry. Nobody wants to carry 120 pounds of unhappy dog over a fence, while adrenaline's the only thing keeping their hands steady. There's a distraction problem too, and it's the one working handlers bring up most when you actually ask them, instead of reading a breed pamphlet. Rottweilers are bred to survey a whole space. That's what a livestock guardian does. It watches the perimeter, not one narrow lane of it. Put that same brain on a narcotics search through a crowded parking garage, and the dog's attention keeps sliding off the scent cone toward every new car door slamming, every stranger walking too close. A trainer I talked to years ago, running a canine program out near Scranton, put it bluntly, "I don't need a dog that notices everything. I need a dog that notices one thing and refuses to notice anything else for the next hour." That's not really about intelligence at all. It's wiring. New York tried this experiment early, by the way, and it's a mess of a footnote most canine histories skip past. Back in 1907, NYPD Commissioner Theodore Bingham pushed to bring dogs onto the force after a brutal attack on a teenage girl made the papers. The early dogs weren't trained with much nuance. The standing order was basically, attack anyone not wearing a uniform. Predictably, that went badly. Officers had dogs tackling random pedestrians in the dark because a badge wasn't visible at midnight. The program limped along for years before it actually worked, and the lesson departments eventually absorbed wasn't about breed at all. It was that raw aggression without precise obedience is a liability, no matter what's on the end of the leash. German Shepherds just happen to be easier to retrain toward precision once departments figured that out. Now, the smart dog explanation gets thrown around a lot. German Shepherds are just more intelligent. I don't fully buy that one, honestly, and I'll contradict myself here on purpose. Canine cognition research doesn't show some massive intelligence gap between Rottweilers and Shepherds. They're both working breeds bred for problem solving. What actually separates them is focus under distraction. Rottweilers by design watch everything. They're guarding, scanning the whole environment for threats. Great instinct for standing watch over a junkyard. Terrible instinct when you need a dog laser-focused on one narcotics odor for 45 minutes straight and ignoring the hot dog cart, the backfiring car, and the kid on a bike. A shepherd's herding brain locks onto one task and stays there. That's trainability, not IQ. There's a story out of Dearborn, Michigan, 1954, that gets left out of most of these breed videos. Dearborn started a canine unit with 4 German Shepherds, hired an actual former Marine Corps trainer to run the program, and paired the dogs with 4 patrolmen who volunteered as handlers. 6 months of training. Not a single dog-related incident on record the entire time the unit ran. That's the kind of quiet, boring competence departments actually chase. Not the flashiest dog, the one that doesn't generate lawsuits or headlines. Baltimore's program, launched around 1956, still runs today, and it's oddly specific about what it wants. Male German Shepherds only. Sound of body. Neither vicious nor shy. Ideally under 3 years old. Read that phrase again. Neither vicious nor shy. That's the whole selection philosophy for modern policing, sitting in 4 words. Not the most dominant dog in the litter, not the shrinking one either. The department wants the animals sitting exactly in the middle, because the middle is what you can actually train and actually trust in front of a camera crew. I'll admit I don't actually know the exact year any single American department made the formal switch from Rottweiler to Shepherd. Nobody's tracked that department by department, and if you find a source claiming otherwise, be skeptical of it. What's documented is the broad pattern. Rottweiler programs quietly stopped getting renewed. Shepherd programs kept multiplying. And by the 1960s, the Shepherd was so dominant that police dog and German Shepherd had basically become the same phrase in most people's heads. The same way tissue became Kleenex. And that's really the piece people miss when they ask why Rottweilers got phased out. It was never purely a performance question. Public perception did a lot of the heavy lifting too. A German Shepherd trotting next to an officer reads as disciplined. A Rottweiler doing the exact same job at the exact same competence level reads as a threat that happens to have a badge attached. Departments spent decades post-1960s trying to soften the image of canine units after the dogs were weaponized against civil rights protesters. I'm not going to pretend the story ends cleanly with German Shepherd wins forever, either, because it doesn't. Walk into most canine conferences now, and you'll hear trainers half-joking that the Shepherd is getting Rottweilered itself. Belgian Malinois numbers have been climbing hard for the last 20 years. So no, it was never really about the Rottweiler being a bad dog. It's still strong, still loyal, still capable of guarding a business overnight without flinching. It just got measured against a job description that kept narrowing. Lighter, more obedient, less likely to end a department in a civil suit, more photogenic next to a squad car. It didn't fit that shape anymore. Somewhere in Rottweil, there's probably still a butcher's dog walking a coin purse home through town, doing the one job it was always built for, completely unaware that 100 years ago its ancestors used to wear a badge too.